So Terry, why don't you take it away?
Thanks,
And
Pam.
thank you guys for being here. This won't take long.
Thanks and welcome to Greenville Rotary Career Day orientation. I wanted to offer a couple of housekeeping items. If you volunteered to help with more than one career cluster, Pam is working the final mix of those now that we have all the student requests back, and your final assignment will be mailed to you no later than the weekend, so you can prepare with whatever that actual table assignment is.
It'll probably be Sunday.
Probably Sunday. That'll still be the weekend, but close. Secondly, I expect you've heard that the city's changed the rate structure for city parking garages, which includes the Weston garage. And the new deal is the first 2 hours are free. The third hour is $6. Yes, $6. Then it drops back to $2 an hour with a $10 a day max. Now, the club presently has only one type of stickers, and those stickers are worth $3 a piece. So we can provide you with a $3 discount, but we can't do any more than that in terms of what we have to offer. So you may end up with a $3 tab going out of the parking garage. Just didn't want you to be surprised. Thanks in advance for your help with Career Day. It's my personal favorite program all year, and that's because I've seen firsthand that this is a life-changing event for high school students. What they'll leave with on Tuesday is a huge weight lifted off of their shoulders. Will make the idea of choosing an educational path to a future career far less daunting now that they've had a chance to actually speak with somebody that is familiar with some of the career paths that they have been interested in. And while on that topic, I want to be sure you understand the audience that'll be at your tables. These will be sophomores and juniors
In high school.
in sophomore and junior high school students from the county's most affluent high schools to some moderate income high schools. And this will be, to some of them, a little bit of an out-of-body experience. You might expect them to come into the room just a little bit off balance. For some of them, this will be the first time they've been inside a property like the Weston Poinsett, huge hotel ballroom. For some of them, it may be the first time they've been in downtown Greenville, a few. And for many, it'll be the first event of this type, a large business style meeting that they've experienced. So it's up to us as table hosts and facilitators to make the day as comfortable as possible and be really clear about what we expect from the students and how they can make the most of this experience. One other thing that's important for you, if you haven't been to a meeting in a little while, you may not realize that they now guard the garage for us. So if there's someone in a vest out in front of the garage, just pull up there, tell them you're here from Rotary, and they'll wave you right on in. Please jot this other note down. Do bring business cards. That starts your session at your table off in sort of a business-like fashion. And of course, it means that a student can get back in touch with you if they have a question that they hadn't thought of during your conversation. Also, they love swag. Anything that's branded like bags, pins, koozies, keychains, carabiners, fidget spinners, you name it. And if you have enough for the entire audience, which would be about 80 students.
About 90.
90. That would be great. And we can put those out at the student places, which will be marked with place cards in the room. If you just have enough for your own table, which will typically be no more than 10 students, that'd be fine too. But they love that stuff. So do plan to arrive early. If you get there by, say, 11:30, you'll be able to get lined out, find your table, find your way to through the buffet line, and be all set by the time the first student buses arrive. So what I'd like to do now is take a look at the facilitator's guide. I'll get my screen share going here. Our objective is to make this a big day in their lives, and there'll be one or two experienced mentors per roundtable. One of you decide among yourselves who's going to be the lead person, the facilitator. The other person will be an associate host that also answers questions and so forth, but we need one person to decide who's going to actually manage the table, if you will.
Actually, I'll probably make that decision because there'll be folders with that person's name on them.
Okay, could be. The facilitator explains the introduction format. Now, I'm encouraging you to use this meeting format. And there's a reason for this table protocol I'm asking you to use. The reason is getting and keeping the students engaged for the hour and a half you have with them. And it also draws out the more reserved students rather than the one or two assertive students that would otherwise take up most of the airtime at the table. Now, in past years, I've had facilitators decide to do it their own way, and that usually evolves into lengthy presentations on the part of the Rotarians, and that usually evolves into evals at the end of the meeting where the students say the host talked too much. So if you approach it this way, get the students talking first. Ask them to first explain what the expectation is. I'd like you to give us your name, where you're from, your school and your year in school, and then a couple of questions. If you have a dream job in mind, what is that? Or if you're sure you know what you don't want to do, what's that? Or perhaps how you got interested in this topic. Sort of one of those questions. Pick and choose on your own, and then by that time you have probably determined who the more comfortable students are, the more confident ones, and so forth. Call on one of them to start, so you don't cause an issue for somebody that is a little bit more bashful. Then the facilitators. The facilitator introductions are a little bit longer, but I would like all of you to take this list and trim it down such that you can deliver it in no more than about 3 minutes. You do need to tell them your name, tell them where you're from, where you grew up, that sort of thing, maybe places you've lived, a little bit about your family, immediate family, and then when and how you joined Rotary, and then a little bit of a thumbnail on your business career. Now, you can't possibly cover all of these bullet points in 3 minutes. These are just some of the ideas that you might use. If you're in a business, for example, that has a defined educational track, you might explain that. You could talk about your career progression up to this point, not every single line item on your resume, but the major situations. This is one I kind of like, which is lucky breaks. I've had an incredible number of lucky breaks in my career, and having been able to take advantage of some of those has been really a game changer for me. And then things perhaps you like most about what you do, things that are really hard, and maybe some gifts and talents that would be important to success in whatever your particular career is. So those would be things you want to prepare for about a 2 to 3 minute introduction of yourself, and of course any of the other mentors, hosts, whatever, Rotarians or adults at the table would do the same thing. Then when we get to the discussion, this really works well. I encourage you to try it this way. If it doesn't work out for you, come back next year and you can try it on your own. But we will have worksheets for the students with these categories in them. And so the way you explain this is, folks, what I'd like to do here, just to get our conversation started, I'd like you all to go heads down. I'm providing these worksheets. And what I'd like you to do is make your own list of what you'd like to learn today, what you came for. And those would be questions you had about the education or the registration required for this career, questions about the industry itself, questions about the actual job, or what kind of jobs are available, any misgivings or uncertainties you've heard. Maybe you've heard that engineering is hard, for example, and things you've heard from other people, are those in fact true? So what that does is it gives them a chance to focus on what they came in the door with, or to think about what they ought to be asking if they haven't given that any thought up to this point. And what it avoids is the classic group dynamic, which is if you open this conversation with, does anybody have any questions? The most assertive student or two will jump into that. They'll take off on some dimension of overall career consideration, and that forms a rabbit trail that the whole rest of the conversation goes down. So what this does is it keeps things from getting sidelined, and sometimes those rabbit trails are actually just a distraction. So you find yourself trying to claw your way back out of that. So once they've got their list, this will take, again, it'll seem like a long time. Give them at least 5 minutes, perhaps 10. Wait till they put their pens down and stop writing. Then just go round robin. each of the students gets to ask one of their personal favorites. So you say, now what we're going to do is we're going to go around the table and each of you get to ask one of your personal favorite questions of the list. Now, of course, somebody else might ask that, so just go on to another one. And we'll go one at a time and we'll go around the table until everybody runs out. Together with yourself and other facilitator or other hosts at the table, providing some answers and maybe some color commentary, that will be more than enough material to fill the roughly hour and a half that you have with these students. Do keep your own answers short. Think of sound bites. You want answers that range in the no more than literally 4 or 5 sentences, something that's really crisp. And then you can, if somebody asks a follow-up question, you can take it on from there. Continue around the table until everybody's run out of questions. You might have some of these other things from your career that you thought were important that you could pitch in there and provide a little bit of filler if they run out of curiosity before we run out of time. That brings us to the time budget. We finish sharp at 2:30. That's because of buses. So we need to have the students ready to go out the door by 2:30. That means if you're taking students off site, you need to be back at the Weston by 2:30, back in the ballroom area. So manage your start times for your wrap up accordingly. We want them to do some paper evaluations, which you will have in your packet. There'll be one per student, and give them, again, 5 or 10 minutes to fill those out. The reason for that is that it works. We get the paper evaluations on the spot. We don't have to hope that they're going to actually go back to some link that we gave them and do something online. So again, and it also captures just what they're thinking at the moment. Then do just kind of a last thought, everybody. Let's just go around the table and would you, each of you share your most meaningful or your most surprising takeaway from today? What's something that surprised you or something that you think is really valuable out of our experience here together? And ask them to do that. Those will be short, and just ask them to do those one at a time. At that point, you're basically thanking them for attending and wishing them well in their careers and the rest of their high school career and so forth. Collect up the evaluations and then provide those to Pam at the end. I'd be happy to take any questions at this point.
You said if you take them off site, I just imagined we were all sitting around tables. This would be my first time, and everyone was stuck at a table. So, are there places that we take the students, or what's worked in the past?
It depends on the cluster.
Yeah.
Pam will explain, there are a few clusters where we have literally walking distance sites where we can take someplace, we can take them to a workplace in that area. That's not true of all clusters. We also have some other breakout rooms in the hotel. So we'll take some of the clusters to those spots. They're not specific to their vocational interest, but it's a place where they can be a little bit less disturbed. That way we have fewer tables in the big ballroom, so we don't have a lot of crosstalk between tables.
So Emily, you're doing law, right?
Yes.
So you will walk to the Weiss Law Firm. So bring a warm coat because I hear it's going to be cold.
Okay, good to know. Thank you. Okay.
How do each, representatives of a cluster know, are we going off site or getting a room?
I'll let you know on Sunday, but the deal is we can walk to DP3 Architects for anybody wanting architecture. We can go to Center Stage, but I'm not sure who's going to go there yet. Channel 7 Newsroom is walking distance. Weiss Law Firm and the Symphony is right next door. We use their boardroom for a small group.
So when we get there, we're going to tell what room our breakout room is?
I will tell you, hopefully, well, yeah, I'd like to tell you that on Sunday, but I don't know that I'm going to know that yet. Jenny is working with the Weston to find out what's available.
How much earlier do you recommend we show up so that way we get all our ducks in a row? Know what room are we going to that you recommend arriving?
11:30 if you can.
11:30. Okay.
That gives you time to do not only that, but also grab a lunch.
And what we need some good sergeants. We're trying to get the students to sit at the table with you for lunch, so there's not too much movement.
Okay.
Just to mention that, as you stake out your table, there will be a place card for yourself as a facilitator or host, then there'll be place cards for the number of students that are signed up for that cluster. If there's an open seat, it's fine for a Rotarian to sit there. That's an available seat for lunch. But otherwise, you need to kind of shoo people off because they won't pay attention when we tell them at the front door that they need to sit someplace that there's not a student place card.
Okay.
But that's our means of reserving enough spots at your table for the students that signed up for that cluster.
So I just got the names and the choices from the students yesterday, and then they moved all around today. So it's a challenge.
They're teenagers.
Yeah, exactly. They're teenagers. So I will send you copies. You've already got the facilitator guide, but I'll send you copies of everything else that'll be in the packet, like the evaluation forms and the worksheets for the students, so that you can see them ahead of time. We will also, before we get started, talk about opportunities for students that Rotary offers, like Rotary Youth Exchange, which is we send kids abroad and we accept kids from abroad. Rotary Youth Leadership Awards, which is a week at Erskine College in the summer for kids. It's a leadership camp. And Service Above Self scholarships. We select one student a year to receive $2,500 a year for all 4 years of college, assuming that they keep their grades up and they do community service. And so those are all things that the kids can look into. We'll have handouts for
They'll
them.
have flyers on the table for all of that. You want to explain, Pam, the program up to the point where we break into the career clusters?
Sure. So you guys will come in, stake out your table, which there'll be a sign up that says what your career cluster is. Put your stuff down, maybe get some lunch. Then when the bell rings, somebody will open the meeting. Then the only thing that we'll do typical for a meeting is introduce guests. Probably not you guys, not you, Catherine or Aaron, but the other guests that happen to be there. We'll introduce you later. So then we have a panel of 3 Rotarians to talk about their career paths. We have Wade Kolb, who was a high school teacher and then went back to Harvard and became a lawyer. And he's been a lawyer ever since. We have Jeff Pettis, who he has a crazy career path. I mean, it's all over the map, but mostly the big thing is he went to law school, became a lawyer, hated it, quit, and bought a painting company. So that's what he does now, is he owns a painting company. And then we have Lauren Nicholas, who's the executive director for Center Stage. And she's kind of the opposite. She knew what she wanted to do. And so she just set out to do what she wanted. She wanted to manage a theater. So she did all the things that it took. She went to school, different places, lived apart from her husband for 3 years while she was doing something that she needed to do. And he was doing something. Anyway, they'll talk about it. So Amy Wood from Channel 7 News will interview them. And then when that breaks up, when that's over, we'll do the 4-way test, ask everybody who's not involved in the afternoon to skedaddle out of there. And then I'll have a slide up that shows which clusters are going where, and we'll ask somebody from each of the clusters to hold up a sign and meet and walk to wherever you're going or stay at your table, whatever works out.
Do you want us to just stick to what our current profession is? Like if you had 2 lives,
No,
one life, previous profession, then a new profession. Like,
yeah, you want to.
I don't want to be
cover
confusing.
that. That's very important. Good question. You want to cover that in your 3 minutes. You want to cover
Okay.
your career path to this point.
Okay.
Because one of the huge takeaways every year from these kids, when they fill out an eval at the end of the meeting, one of the big takeaways will be, I just realized I don't have to decide what I want to do for the whole rest of my life.
Okay. Big point, and it's true.
Yeah.
And it's true.
The kids stay the same age. I keep getting older, and that's the way every year, that's what their big takeaway.
I think it's okay for me to say this because Jeff announced it when I was as a visitor to Rotary before I joined. He got up in front of the whole room and told everyone. He found me somehow. I had a different career. I was a lawyer and then I owned a franchise business and I sold it and I came back to being a lawyer. Jeff Pettis found me and I'm his lawyer.
Oh, really?
That's kind of a neat story. They all
I
might
wonder
want
if
to.
we put that in. We have some questions that we formulate. Matilda Knowles from Greenville Tech used to prepare the panelists, get them ready. She's got a family emergency. Her mom's in the hospital in Greenwood, so she's had to step back. And I'm doing it this year, which is okay, but I think she did a better job. I wonder if there's a way we can work that into the interview. I didn't see that in the questions that he answered, but that's fascinating. That's funny.
Well, if
Oh,
I can nudge Jeff and ask him if it's okay to talk about. But when I was visiting, it was the funniest experience because we only met this way
okay.
on Zoom, and we did all the things that we were planned to do, and then I happened to come to Rotary and visit, and I was sitting in the front, and I turned around, and Jeff looked down, and he told the whole room, "Oh my gosh, you're real," and he touched me.
He's funny. He's a funny guy.
So weird.
And I think those kinds of stories, as far as the students are concerned, are just golden. I mean, like most of you probably, I've had a couple of those "be careful what you wish for" kind of jobs, and you learn some things along the way about
You
yourself in
do,
many
yeah.
cases.
Yeah. Well, you can ask him about it if you want.
Great.
Well,
We've got
don't
time.
hesitate to call, text, email if you have any questions. I'll try to get stuff out to you, some stuff Saturday, and then your assignments hopefully on Sunday before too late. Just wish me luck getting it figured out. And who knows how many times the kids will change their mind again.
Yeah. You guys are
Okay,
doing a
thanks,
great job.
everybody.
Thanks for organizing everything.
Thanks for joining us.
Seems
Thank
great.
you so much.
Thank
Yeah.
Thank you.
See you Tuesday.
See you Tuesday.
Bye.
Bye.